Hello, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Bite-Size Cybercrime, the podcast where we discuss cybercrimes and cybersecurity news. My name is Chloe Donis, and this week we will be discussing a PayPal data breach, a rather recent one that was discovered in December of 25 initially, but now we have more information on it. PayPal began notifying customers using their PayPal Working Capital Loan app, mostly used by small businesses looking for more access to financing, that their personally identifiable information had been exposed for nearly 6 months due to a software error in the app. It was discovered, as I mentioned earlier, in December of 2025, and was found that customer full names, email addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers, and dates of birth had all been openly exposed, just sitting out and available from July of 2025 until December. Once it was discovered, PayPal fixed the bug causing the incident. There is no current law enforcement investigation going on in terms of this particular data breach, as it wasn't performed by a threat actor. Rather, it was an unintentional breach from PayPal themselves that had simply gone unnoticed for half a year. It's kind of crazy to me that they didn't see any evidence of this for that long. It's not known to what extent exactly threat actors took advantage of the data leak, though I suspect what we know now is just the tip of the iceberg, as a threat actor is going to be rather quiet if they see this kind of data just sitting out in the open. A small amount of customers did have some unauthorized transactions as a direct result of this breach. However, the number has not been disclosed, and they have reportedly been refunded for all these transactions. For PayPal, a small amount of customers could mean 10, or 100, or even 1,000, or maybe even 10,000, as they are a pretty massive financial technology company, and are a pretty major way that small businesses are able to get money from people interested in their services, and, of course, seek loans. I believe PayPal is among the biggest globally for its instant transfers to banks, though I've actually started to see Venmo overtake them, at least in the United States. I think Venmo is more common for paying your friends back for dinner, though, than it is for getting your business a loan. PayPal seems a bit more official in that sense, but even when I go to markets around Chicago, I see a lot of vendors offering both PayPal and Venmo. In response to this incident, PayPal offered affected users 2 years of free credit monitoring and identity restoration services through Equifax. Because the data that was leaked is basically all key ingredients to identity theft and financial fraud. Name, address, date of birth are pretty bad to be out there, but social security number is the killer. Having that information allows for anyone to easily impersonate you and open new bank accounts in your name, or credit cards, or loans, rather easily. PayPal also reset the passwords of all affected customers, but still has yet to disclose just how many businesses or individuals this actually is yet. We're still not sure. So, what can you do in the event that something like this happens to you? Well, it actually happened to me fairly recently. Sort of. Not through PayPal specifically, but my PII was leaked through a third party that I'm not even directly involved with. Which is unfortunate, and even more unfortunate often how these things work. Take the credit monitoring offer. But also, if you are not making major financial decisions that require a credit check, like applying for a loan, a mortgage, or a credit card, freeze your credit. You can do this online, but you will need to go through all 3 major credit bureaus to do so. I personally have my credit frozen and will only temporarily unfreeze it if I plan to do one of those things, and then we'll freeze it again afterwards once that has been finalized. Identity theft is serious, and it can ruin your life or make it very difficult to build your credit back up. Unfortunately now, it is easier than ever to have your identity stolen and used fraudulently with all these data breaches that keep happening. Companies keep asking for more and more data on us, and more recently, some organizations like Discord are requiring people to verify that they're over 18 by showing their government identity cards. And at the same time, we're not seeing a decline in any of these data breaches, so while sometimes giving websites information can be beneficial for security reasons, it can also be absolutely detrimental, and I'm not really sure if it's worth it. Unfortunately, though, with things like money, we often may not have a choice. A lot of businesses have to use some kind of online payment portal to make it accessible to their customers. So you have to trust these companies, even though oftentimes your data is mishandled. I'm not sure what exactly slipped through the cracks at PayPal to allow for this to happen, but it's completely unacceptable that someone's social security number is just exposed on the open internet, and that people were able to take money from these people. I'm glad they were refunded the money and were offered that credit monitoring, but this isn't something that goes away after 2 years. This is something that follows you for the rest of your life. Once your social security number is out there, it's really hard to take it back. You can't get a new one unless it's under very extreme circumstances. And even then, a lot of times the request is just declined unless it's really truly following you so regularly. Unfortunately, now it's easier than ever to have your identity stolen and used fraudulently. And that's why it's often helpful to take measures like freezing your credit, because data breaches are out of your control. It's scary, but you can still be empowered to make secure decisions for yourself in the face of the modern world we live in. And hopefully, at least I hope, that in the future things are going to change around security of this data, as there's more and more data breaches involving more and more serious forms of identity. I at least hope in the future that there's some way we can establish kind of like a two-factor authentication for something like a credit check, where it has to be approved through some kind of channel that is verifiably owned by you, like email. I'm no finance expert specifically, but I think something needs to change to prevent this from happening on such a regular basis, and I would like to see that happen. Thank you to Forbes, Bleeping Computer, Cyber News, and Security Affairs for information on this data breach, and of course, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Bite Size Cybercrime. And until next time, stay secure.